Let's watch this video from Willie. Guys, we're checking out 15 minutes of useless vanilla WoW information from Willie. I don't know, man. I must be the biggest nerd. I love these kinds of videos. It's like, oh, I never knew that. Last week we watched a video from 720 Zone. Actually, it was earlier this week where we saw the human head of, in World of Warcraft, I should clarify, in Silverleaf, in the herb Silverleaf in World of Warcraft, there's like a human head in every one. We fact checked it and it's true. I love that kind of stuff. It's like, holy crap, all this was there the whole time, we never knew it. Anyway, let's see how much of this stuff we actually know or if we learn anything new.
World of Warcraft is a game that's been picked apart for over 20 years now, and yet there are still details buried within it that most players have just never come across. Some of these are small mechanical quirks, hidden items, and others are things which the game never really explains to you in any way. Today I want to go through some of the most obscure facts I've accumulated over the years, a mix of things that you will probably have missed whilst you're playing, but if you pay attention you'll begin to notice them. So with that said, let's make a start. Before we go on, a quick word from today's sponsor, Exit Lag. Exit Lag is a connection optimizer.
All right, so I'm not sponsored. This is a sponsor for Willie, but I actually used Exit Lag. I think it was Exit Lag or Ping Zapper or one of these for a little bit. Actually, for more than a little, for many years. When I was in college, my ping sucked and I was like, I have to quit WoW. This was the worst thing ever. I had to quit WoW because I was in college and I couldn't play. It was laggy. I was like, no. And then I got, it might have been Ping Zapper at the time. Then I think I swapped to Exit Lag, but basically it reroutes your packets and it fixed it. I was like, oh my gosh, I could play. It fixed it. But I could only play on one of these. And I was like freaking out. I was so thankful. So I played on this for like years. Now I don't need it because I don't lag anyway, but it can help anyway. So anyway, I think it's a cool service, bro. For the people that it helps, it actually really helps. Once again, I'm not sponsored by them, but helped me.
Optimization tool built to reduce your ping, cut out lag, and keep your connection stable across over 3,000 games. So whether it's in WoW, raiding, doing PvP, or anything else, Exit Lag could be the difference maker you didn't know you needed, because so many people put tons of thought into their hardware and peripherals and then completely overlook their connection. At the core of Exit Lag is AI route optimization, which constantly analyzes and selects the most efficient path between your machine and the game server in real time. This works alongside Exit Lag's patented multipath technology, which routes your data across multiple connections simultaneously rather than just depending on one line. There's also a built-in diagnostic center that gives you a clear read on what's happening with your connection. Exit Lag also runs on PC and mobile, covers over 190 countries with more than 1,200 servers worldwide, and right now Exit Lag is running their birthday promotion, which is 50% off the annual subscription plus 3 extra months completely free. QR codes on screen, or you can check the links in the description. Many thanks to Exit Lag for the sponsor today.
Sick.
Let's get on back to WoW. If you're on the Alliance side and you need to get to Zul'Gurub, the standard route is to fly over to Darkshire in Duskwood or go over to Westfall, and both of these options are not particularly close to the instance entrance. Yeah. However, what if I was to tell you there was another way to get into ZG, which is...
Wait. What's the other way to get into ZG? I usually fly to Sentinel Hill and like run through and mount, or fly here and then it's like run down. Don't tell me. Is there another way? There's no way there's any way quicker than that, right? Blasted Lands? Would that be quicker?
Entrance. However, what if I was to tell you there was another way to get into ZG which is faster than both of these, and in fact it would be completely safer as well if you were on a PvP server, because jumping over the hill at the right spot in Duskwood, you can actually get into the back of ZG as it's an unloaded instance in the open world. This does take a bit of practice to do, but during my time on a PvP server during Classic in 2019 and 2020, we would always use this because not only is it faster, but we also didn't have the the Chronoboon Displacer then either, and ideally you did want to get in there with some world buffs intact. Once you manage to get into the unloaded version, you simply run through it, there's no dangerous mobs whatsoever, and then zone in through the entrance as normal. Next is about the Rock Doom Howl fight, who is an optional boss in LBRS.
Okay, I guess that's more of like, I'm not gonna take the time to learn those jumps to get there 30 seconds quicker, but on a PvP realm, like that actually does make sense. Interesting, okay.
A lot of groups just skip this encounter because it can be quite overwhelming when the game...
This is the Aussie Falls fall. This is where he fell, on this in a hardcore. I don't know whose idea it was to try this, but this is where he died at 59.
Spawns 3 to 4 elites on you time after time. What a lot of people miss though is you can actually click the head that you have to place down to start the event, and it will blast the nearby ogres for heavy damage. And you can do this around every 30 seconds or so, perhaps a little bit longer than that. The reason the game's throwing so many elites at you is because it expects you to use this extra item as part of the fight. And if you don't use it, you're going to be finding it a lot more challenging than you should do. So whenever you're doing this the next time, remember to click the head. Stitches is one of the most iconic...
Wait, what does the head do?
The fight. And if you don't use it, you're going to be finding you to use this extra item as part of the fight. And if you don't...
What's the extra item though? It deals damage? What? I didn't know that. I've actually done this once or twice, but we never clicked the head.
Or so, perhaps a little bit longer than that. The reason the game's throwing so many elites at you is because it expects you to use this extra item as part of the fight.
What extra
item? And if you
item?
don't use it, you're going to be finding it a lot more challenging than you should do. So
apparently in the chat, you guys are saying the head AoEs. No way. Go back more? Dude, there's no way I miss it again.
Start the event and it will blast the nearby. You can actually click the head that you have to place down to start the event, and it will blast the nearby ogres for heavy damage. And you
don't link this to Aussie. Oh my gosh. We could have just clicked the pile and he would have lived all those years ago. And Aussie would have never would have fell. And then he would have never been a streamer, and then he would have never been Aussie Falls. Wait, maybe it's good that he fell. Maybe it's good that I pushed him off, that he slipped. I don't even know. Oh my gosh.
Do this around every 30 seconds or so, perhaps a little bit longer than that. The reason the game's throwing so many elites at you is because it expects you to use this extra item as part of the fight. And if you don't use it, you're going to be finding it a lot more challenging than you should do. So whenever you're doing this the next time, remember to click the head. Stitches is one of the most iconic elite low-level enemies in World of Warcraft's history. I think he can be worthy of that title. And he patrols the road through Duskwood after you complete the quest from the Embalmer. Most low levels will just stay off the road and try and avoid him, but if you ever do take him down as part of a group, or when you're running back through the zone to get to STV and fancy some revenge, you'll find that he actually drops an offhand all of the time. This is Stitch's Femur, an offhand that gives 50 armor and needs level 25 to equip. Now this isn't really terribly useful for most classes, apart from feral druids who want to tank because they scale super hard with armor as they gain bonus armor in bear form. Still, it's just a fun flavor item that always drops from this boss, so if you ever fancy picking it up, then that is an option. Did you know there are 2 places in the game where between night and day the NPCs in the open world change form? The first example is in Pyrewood Village, just south of Shadowfang Keep. By day everyone here is human and they're friendly to the Alliance and of course hostile to the Horde, but it should be at about 9 PM server time that the entire village will transform into hostile Worgen. The other place where this transformation happens, or I guess not a transformation but the NPCs are just replaced, is for some reason the graveyard just outside of the entrance to the dead mines. By day there'll be a bunch of vultures here, and by night there'll be some zombies. This was actually one of the remnants of an early idea that developers had during World of Warcraft. The idea was the game was going to be more dangerous and threatening at nighttime compared to day, but really this idea didn't end up getting into the game in too many ways. Nevertheless, perhaps one day in the future we'll have a new version of Classic where we could have this idea built on a bit more. This next one is kind of a small detail, but it's true and I think it might be quite well known actually. But when you set your Hearthstone, the game will save the direction that your character is facing. So if you want to be that little extra bit efficient, you can set your character facing towards the door and you'll know you can just press forward.
I figured this out like a few months ago, because I like some innkeepers, they like walk around a little bit, and I like set my hearth like back in here or something, and I was like, why am I way over here? And then it sparked the conversation that, yeah, you can set your hearth wherever you want depending on exactly where your character's standing when you do it. So you could like min-max the perfect Hearthstone.
Forwards after you hearth, and you'll be going in the right direction. As I'm sure you know, there are repeatable quests in vanilla World of Warcraft. These do use the blue exclamation mark that would later become associated with dailies. However, unlike dailies, repeatable quests are just repeatable. You can do them as many times as you want to in a row. One of them that's in the game is over in Ashara, called A Crew Under Fire, where you have to defend a wrecked ship from attackers. After you complete the quest, which I've only ever done once out of curiosity, the quest giver alludes to there being a follow-up, saying that the other crew members may have a request or two for you. Except there is no follow-up quest, it's just repeatable, and you can do this again and again and again for absolutely no reward. It's no secret that Ashara is very thin on content in vanilla World of Warcraft, and this weird, unfinished relic of a quest is just part of a bigger mystery in this zone. Did you know the Riverpaw Shaman Knolls over in Westfall drop green tea leaves? And these are a pretty unique and interesting item. When they're used, they instantly heal 30 health and then 60 mana over 10 seconds whilst you're continually eating them. And you could just spam eat these whilst running between packs of mobs and are out of combat with no cooldown other than obviously the global cooldown. And if you were eating these on the ticks when your mana restoration happened, which you can see thanks to add-ons, then this would perhaps be one of the most efficient ways to heal low-level characters when moving between enemies. Usually with food items you have to sit down or channel with a bandage or just use a healing ability. I'm actually surprised I've never seen these being used as part of a speedrun strategy, but then again they would be an absolute pain to farm, so perhaps that's the reason. Here's another thing in vanilla which is also, as far as I know, a one-off in this version of the game. There is a quest from Rabin Saturna over in Moonglade called a Reliquary of Purity, and you've probably had this appear on your questy, you've gone over to Moonglade to pick it up, and it's just not there, and you're thinking, well, is the add-on bugged or something? And the answer is no, you just haven't done the prerequisite for the quest to actually appear, because for this quest to appear as available from this NPC, you need to have physically discovered the subzone of Diamol within Feralus. You can do this from a very low level, by the way. You don't have to run all the way into Diamol, which is obviously a very high level instance. If you just go to the outer walls and kind of run along them a bit, you will discover the zone of Diamol. And I'm assuming the developer who made this thought, well, the player's character isn't going to know where Diamol is unless they have actually discovered Diamol first, which is a pretty logical way to think about things. However, if every single quest worked like this, you would have to do a lot of low-level exploring before you were ready to accept quests. I can only put it like that. Did you know there are 3 weapons in the game with a 4.0 attack speed, which are the combined slowest attack speeds in the game? The most famous of these is the Pendulum of Doom as a super rare drop from Alderman. This is a two-handed axe which is typically used as a twink weapon that also has a proc that can deal a bunch of damage. The second is the Pacifier, a two-handed mace that drops from Lobrosh, an ogre who is a rare spawn in the Alterac Mountains. He's in that area around all the Crush Ridge ogres where the caves are, and this isn't a guaranteed drop from him either, you do have to get lucky. And the third is the Blackrock Slicer, which drops from Spirestone Battlelords in LBRS. Again, this is another rare spawn. The reason a super slow attack speed is valuable is because certain classes have instant attacks that scale off their weapon damage, such as warriors with Mortal Strike, paladins with Seal of Command, or of course, shamans with Wind Fury weapon. And whilst all those items are pretty rare, they pale in comparison to what must be the rarest item in vanilla World of Warcraft. And no, I don't think it's T-Boo's longsword. If there was one item which I'd suggest people have either never seen or didn't even realize was that rare, it will be Spellshot leggings from Zul'Gurub. These drop randomly from mobs inside of this instance and do have pretty good stats for casters, though you'll be able to find better options at a higher level, even at a Prebis raid level. And the thing is that Zul'Gurub is an incredibly popular instance. People are always running it for questing because it's so good. And I don't know about you, but I have never seen these drop, which is just so unusual for a rare quality item. I can understand if you haven't seen every epic drop, I don't think many people have, but just a rare quality item, I mean, sure, if you're doing a dungeon enough times, you expect to see it eventually, right? But if you ever manage to get it,
I mean, there's some, like, think of how many times have you done Shadowfang Keep? How many times have you seen an Assassin's Blade or a Shadowfang? I think I've never seen either. Maybe I've seen Shadowfang once. I don't know if I've ever seen an Assassin's Blade. And I've done SFK like so many times.
A pair of these, or you see them for cheap on the auction house, just understand how incredibly rare they are, having a big factor on their price. Did you know the Doomguard commanders and dreadlords over in the Blasted Lands, the ones around Lord Kazakh, can drop Grimoire of Doom, which is an alternative way for warlocks to learn Ritual of Doom without having to do the quests from the nearby NPC. Just a bit of optional flavour for you in the world there. I'm sure you've noticed now, having replayed Vanilla on Anniversary and now being in TBC, that some of the music used in AQ20 has also been used in Zangarmarsh during TBC. I guess Blizzard were thinking Alien Bugs, Alien World, those two things are pretty similar. We'll just reuse the music, it's fine. There is a hidden companion pet in Vanilla World of Warcraft, which if you've ever done Westfall, you've ran past it. Over at Saldine's farms, there are a bunch of chickens nearby the farmer. And if you're trading with Saldine, you'll notice that he has some special chicken feed on him, but there's no real information about what you need to do with this chicken feed. However, if you just randomly spam /chicken at one of the nearby chickens about 100 times in a row, yes, seriously, you do need to spam it that many times, the chicken will have a quest appear. You can give it.
I wonder who figured this out first, because it, like, at some point, like, everyone knew about this, right? But there was a point where, like, probably no one knew about it, and this was before the time of, like, I mean, there was Thoughtbot and stuff, but there was before the time of, like, internet at large, like, everyone can just, like, look at all the files and whatever. Oh, was it a dev? Devs leaked it? So nobody knew until the devs leaked it? I don't know, because, yeah, you have to do it like 100 times. But I was thinking, like, dude, there was probably some guy who just did that on accident. Like, at one out of, like, millions of players, it's just like, dude, it gave me a quest, no way.
Some of the feed, and then it will become your own companion pet. I don't know what levels of insanity someone went through to discover this, but someone out there was the first person to spam chicken on a chicken 100 times, and I only have respect for them. The lowest level epic items in Vanilla World of Warcraft are some of the most iconic ones, actually. Both the Staff of Jordan and the Fiery War Axe are obtained at level 35, and these typically drop from level 39 to 40 enemies and have extremely low drop rates, of course. Whereas rare quality items outside of professions start showing up as low as level 15, and there are tons of these level 15 blue items which are mainly weapons. Usually, and especially with epics, you associate them being a much higher level item, but it is interesting to know they start showing up so early. If you're Alliance and working through the Onyxia attunement chain, there's a particular step involving the Dragon's Eye that sends you looking for another dragon brood willing to assist. Now this quest originates in Stormwind and gives you absolutely no direction whatsoever on where you're meant to go. The blue dragon you need to find is Harley, who is hidden up a hillside randomly above Maz Thoril in Winter Spring. In a funny way, this reminds me of Season of Discovery, and some of the runes were so incredibly obscure to try and work out where you actually needed to go for them. This is like the original rune quest, and to me it's crazy someone started off in Stormwind and ended up finding the NPC up a mountain in Winter Spring. It really couldn't be.
Is there really no hints at all? Where to find the other flights willing to help? Sadly, I do not know. They are said to exist. Some may even work and live among us, disguised as one of the humanoid races. I wish you luck. Okay, because I've been playing with the idea of eventually doing a no add-on hardcore run, like, so no questy is the big one, because I've already done pretty much no add-ons, but like no questy, and like reading every quest and trying to figure out where to go. How the heck would you know? Like, is there any like, how the heck would you know? It was just like, this quest might be one of the unique ones where it was like a big, like, everyone had to come together and try to figure it out, whereas most quests would actually kind of tell you, I think, right? But you'd have to just run around. That is brutal, man.
The runes were so incredibly obscure to try and work out where you actually needed to go for them. This is like the original rune quest, and to me it's crazy someone started off in Stormwind and ended up finding the NPC up a mountain in Winter Spring. It really couldn't be much further.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says, is there a book in the library in Stormwind or something? I wonder if there is some hint somewhere. If you go to the Stormwind library and start reading all the books, if there's some hint. hint, because that would be cool if there was. There probably is. But
apart than that. And I can only imagine back in the day that information spreading so fast by word of mouth after somebody first found them. In vanilla and TBC for that matter, Sylvanas Windrunner uses the standard Night Elf model, as well as what appear to be some cultist robes. And then randomly in Wrath of the Lich King, they updated her to use the Blood Elf model. Nathanos Blightcaller, her favourite sidekick, is also in vanilla and TBC, except he's just using the standard Forsaken model, and he wouldn't be updated to appear a lot more human until Legion, where he had minor appearances in the story. Did you know there is a demon hunter in vanilla World of Warcraft? He's hidden over in the cliffs of Ashara, again that super underused zone, and his name is Lorimus Thalapides. He's involved in a massive quest chain to defeat the demon overlord of the Blasted Lands, and this is absolutely one of the best quest chains in the entire game that you should absolutely do once. It's just people don't tend to do it because unfortunately the rewards aren't very good, even though they are interesting items. Because if you've never done this quest chain, it's easy to forget that demon hunters existed in vanilla World of Warcraft.
I don't think I've ever done this quest. I would love to do this quest. Oh my gosh. Like, I've played a lot of Classic WoW at this point, so I feel like almost all the quests I've done like so many times, but whenever there's a quest I find I haven't done, it's like, I kind of want to do that. Yeah, it gives a 16 slot bag. One of the things in Classic Plus that would be cool is if there's ever like a really cool quest, it would be cool, like a really sick quest chain. It would be cool to make the rewards like somewhat worth doing, because I feel like this is a reoccurring theme in Classic, where it's like it is a really cool quest, but the end reward is like, hardcore idea, do all the quests there are, like every quest in the game. That actually it would be kind of a fun hardcore idea. Yeah, all the quests. I mean, I kind of do anyway, but like obviously I skip some here and there.
In the ruins of Methistra in northern Darkshore, there are small stone cat figurines scattered across the zone, and if you click them, there's a small chance for a ghost saber to spawn, a translucent ghostly cat which hunters can tame. Now sometimes you'll need to click a dozen statues or more to get one of these to spawn. It can take a while, to be fair, but once you do and you tame it, then you will have access to a unique hunter pet appearance. So if you ever wanted something a bit different from the normal, then you can go and do this. If you've ever started a night elf and thought, right, on this character I want to go mining as one of my professions, you've probably run into a bit of a problem there, because the whole island of Teldrassil has absolutely no mining nodes whatsoever. The reason being is that it's a giant tree and there won't be any rock formations that spawn on it that would be able to be mined. So the earliest point when you can train mining on night elves is when you meet the small camp of dwarves over at Oberdeen. This next one is something I always forget, I swear, but druids cannot equip polearms in vanilla World of Warcraft. They can in TBC, and druids and using polearms just feels like such a natural fit. Also, as a bonus fact, did you know that there used to be one-handed spears in vanilla too, and druids could use them during this period of time? And interestingly, every single class that could use one-handed spears during the alpha can use polearms in vanilla, apart from the druid. I have this theory they just forgot to update it and druids should have been able to use polearms, but hey, that's how the game is. Alterac Valley is one of the most...
Druids with polearms, yes or no? I mean, they're... I don't know about that one. Everyone in the chat says yes. For feral, it makes sense, but they're like pokey. Druids can't use swords or axes. It's like maces and like non-pokey things. Huh. Anyway, dude, that warrior looks sick.
Well-known battlegrounds in World of Warcraft, and in vanilla both the factions are not exactly made equal. Did you know if you took a Horde character and gave them a 60% mount, and an Alliance character and gave them a 100% mount, the Horde character would reach the middle of the field of strife first. The middle of the field of strife, of course, is about halfway down the battleground. I even did this experiment many years ago in a video as kind of a joke to prove that the Alliance could get down the battleground faster, and I was amazed to learn that with this severe disadvantage, Horde still reached the middle point sooner. This is why in TBC, Blizzard moved the Horde starter cave way further back. But in vanilla, you do get a bit of a head start as the Horde. There are 2 quests in vanilla World of Warcraft.
Why do Horde always lose AV if they have that big of an advantage? Are Horde players just that bad? Like, what?
Well, in order to complete them,
They're
you
that
have
bad,
to
huh?
die. The
Okay.
first quest is to obtain the Shadow Forge key for use inside of Blackrock Depths. The quest giver, Franklin Forgewright, is dead, and you can only see him if you are as well, so you have to go and have a bit of a swim in the lava and then go pick up the quest afterwards. Though on the hardcore mode of the game, you're going to need to use skeleton keys, Sephorium charges, or find a friendly rogue with some lockpicking to help you out. The second quest is the Vidaire Elixir quest chain in Tanaris. This is part of Lincoln's quest that starts in Ongaro, and again is another really good quest chain you should always do, except this one actually has good rewards such as the caster offhand. Anyways, as part of this quest chain, you have to drink the elixir just at the graveyard outside of Gadgetzan, causing your character to die so you can speak to a nearby ghost and continue the quest. On hardcore, Blizzard did amend this quest so the elixir reduces you to 1 health. Just make sure nobody's built a fire nearby that you could run over or something. I'm sure somebody's tried to grief this quest. To progress in Blackrock Depths, you're going to need to get through the Grim Guzzler, the infamous dwarf-filled bar.
So many
and there
deaths
are
here, man.
3 ways to get through the door. The first is the most used method by far. You simply buy 6 mugs of dark iron ale from Plugger Spazring and hand them over to Private Rocknot. Eventually he gets agitated enough, the boss guarding the door phalanx spawns, and you can fight the boss and then the door opens. The second method is a rogue pickpockets the Grim Guzzler key direct from Plugger Spazring, and then you can just continue on through. Or the third and the least popular option by some margin is doing the quest The Love Potion given by Mistress Nagmara. This has you travel basically
We just watched another video on this, which I didn't know. Dude, this part, I'm gonna self-report here. I'm always the player in the group that's just like AFK at this part. Like, let someone else do it. I'm always just like, how do we go past this? And then I just let someone else do it. And then sometimes everything aggroes and we all die. And I'm like, who messed that up? Like, okay, so that's good to know. You buy the 6 beers and hand it to the dwarf, and then the door opens to kill the boss.
Across the entire world for some unique reagents, allowing her to complete her love potion. After that, you can talk to her after the quest and she will open the door for you. This is definitely the easiest way to get the door open, but the one that the least amount of people will have done, just because it takes so long. And there you have it, a few facts from all the obscure corners of classic World of Warcraft that many people may have not known about. I always find it interesting how many small bits and pieces are just left in the game as maybe unique items, unfinished quests, or strange interactions. It's things like this that make vanilla just a bit more different and special than many of the games that came after it. So let me know if you learned anything new, and as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.
Very nice video from Willie. I love these. Couple people in the chat were asking who this was. This is Will E. He makes some great content. I'll go ahead and link his page. Wait, what? Why are people saying what in the chat? I don't even know. I'll go ahead and link his page in the chat if you guys want to check him out.